The last time I was here, I told you that we had finished Mandalorian, which then unlocked all these other series for me to start watching. So,
right. You were holding off until you finished that to do some other ones.
I had kind of that storyline going, and then, we got back into season 3, and turns out that's not how you were supposed to watch them. You're supposed to have watched the Book of Boba Fett and the Obi Wan Kenobi series, because there is some information in those that was relevant in season 3 of Mandalorian. Oops. Well, that was really cool to have all the information going into those, because those are a lot of fun. And even though it's not new, they're still, Star Wars and relevant and all available to watch on Disney Plus. So the upshot of that was not really knowing what stories they were going to tell, and knowing that these were characters I already knew, Boba Fett and Obi-Wan. I was like, I could just put those on hold until another season of Mandalorian comes out. Well, yeah, these aren't the stories that you know of those guys. It's way further down the road in Boba Fett's line, and right in the kind of middle of Obi-Wan's. Those are fine. But it was there's 2 episodes where they introduced Ahsoka and had this whole interaction and switched out the Mandalorian ship. Well, yeah, I didn't know that going into season 3. So I did enjoy watching those, and they do, fill in a whole bunch of that space in that universe. And there's a really irritating 10-year-old kid. So, that was fun. The princess. She's doing a pretty good job giving 10-year-old Princess Leia vibes. Better than possibly, young Anakin.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I just remember Ethan being extremely irritated by her.
Yeah.
But that might just be a teenage boy.
Yes.
Just being oh, girl. I don't know. Because it was a year or 2 ago that he watched it. But I thought for a child basically being dropped into that world, she did a great job.
Oh, yeah. There was a fair amount of impressive character re-performances or getting back into the zone of, and I think one of the fun parts was actually getting Hayden Christensen back for Vader. So there was all these fights that you never got in the movies, and you're like, well, no wonder why they didn't have to have this big battle. We thought that was the first time they'd gotten back together. Sorry, 2 years later, spoilers if you haven't watched it.
That was redemption for him in some ways with the fans, because I remember watching a couple fan cons or, and they were so excited he was coming back.
Yeah.
And I think for him, because he really carried such a huge weight with that character and people had such opinions about it, for him to be welcomed back in an excited way was a really nice sort of full circle moment for him. So it balanced out the annoying child. No, just kidding.
Well, it's also pretty telling when you watch the Obi Wan Kenobi series. They do enough flashbacks to try to help you fill in the story, and it's not that far along. I mean, the whole freaking Star Wars saga is 60 years. It is not that long. So when they drop this series in, it hasn't been that long, but it has been a while since episodes 1, 2, and 3. So when they play those clips, you're like, oh, right, he is older. That isn't just a beard on a young dude. There's some wrinkles. I mean, he does have the higher ground. But he is showing some of his age. So, yeah. So it was very enjoyable to watch both of those and know some of the storylines and characters that are going to come off of that, and that there's another series coming up, Ahsoka, that's going to be directed by the guy that kind of put a lot of that into the universe from the cartoons. That is one thing I haven't cracked open yet, is there's a couple of the cartoon series that came out in the last 2 or 3 years that I'll watch and I'll report back to you. Like the Bad Batch. All right, so that wasn't really a deep dive. That was just everyone keep watching Star Wars stuff. I am too. Even old stuff, it's still worth watching. There's sword fights. There's
a lot.
There's lots of is that why everyone's very tan there? Because there's 3 suns? Man, Boba Fett was just sunburnt for solid 3 episodes straight. It was rough. Okay.